Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. I mean, let's just get right into this. It's been a long day, but since nobody else has made a video like this, I might as well. And what is... Oh! Oh! Oh, the blood's everywhere. Oh, no. Oh, man, my poor warden never stood a chance. And then she's taking that pose that we see on the title screen. As though it was her all along, since the very beginning of the introduction of the season. I think I already said this at one point, at least in a stream, if not in a video. But yeah, no, the character has been with us since, like, the very beginning, so, you know, there's that. But, I feel like nobody's really gone over any of the combat video, like all the combat changes and stuff yet, and also the new character. So we're really gonna just get right into it. Okay. So how do you guys like my my Iron Warmonger, my Iron Wolf, I think I'm gonna call this outfit. I think it looks amazing, and the way the dog's just sitting there, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so the new outfits are out, if you want to go check those out. I think I might show these off later in the video. But let's get down to brass tacks. So, new character, Warmonger. The dog's like, how dare you drop that. But, yeah, so anyway, a lot of people are saying this is like Warden 2.0 or something, or just reskin Apollyon. I prefer the term Apollyon Remastered. That being said, let's just kind of show everything off. So she's got a charge forward heavy, which is tracking. It has tracking properties. You can't dodge out of that. Pretty much all of her combos are three-part combos, with the exception of the ones that go from light into heavy. Let's just get rid of that guy here for a second and switch our opponent's health to regenerate. That way we can actually see the damage being inflicted without running out of damage due to this guy. So let's say we do light into heavy. From any direction, the light is guaranteed to give you a hyper-armored heavy that branches off into it. So, because these are enhanced lights, even if we do hit their guard, we will still be able to continue the attack chain. While although this top one is a bit slow, it will likely throw off people's parry timings, since most people are used to Warden. And, let's just get straight into the other unique factors about this character. So, as you can see, they have a dodge unblockable. You can't change the direction that the unblockable comes out. It's like you can't have you can't dodge left and have the attack come out on the right side like Zanhu or anything. The attack is specifically set to one guard mode only. Next up, I'll just kind of walk through the simple combos. So there we have the move Praying Claw. So it's basically something very similar to Centurion. However, in this case, it does behave like Warden's Bash in that it will wall splat people if they're close enough, and it does have variable timing. Unlike Centurion, though, it can be activated from a dodge, very much like Warden. Although, the one exception is on the back dodge. You cannot back dodge like you can with Warden. It is only on the side dodges and the front dodges. There are 3 levels of charge attack. There is your fast one that guarantees you a light. The light is default set into the up stance, so there's no way you can change that. The second is delaying it slightly, and that will net you also a light. And the final level 3 charge will grant you a lovely hyper-armored top heavy. By default, you can't do like side heavies or anything, which will net you a fat 35 damage, which is actually quite a bit in the new Core Combat update that I will touch on a little bit here later. That being said, you can also chain from your zone, lot of these combos, with the exception of the light directly into heavy combos, are 3-part combos, so I can go light, light, heavy, zone, light, heavy, and I can even chain from my unblockable into 3-part combos. With the exception of any time you go directly for, you have to do 2 unique attacks or a light attack. You cannot do light and then into heavy and then add something on. You have to always follow up with a light or a unique attack, otherwise you will not be able to continue a 3-part chain. Anything that is followed up by a heavy, that will end the chain automatically. But as you can see, the attack behaves very much so like Centurion. The only difference is, again, that the damage, the punishing damage is slightly less than Centurion as of currently. However, because this attack can be triggered from neutral dodge, it gives you a lot more ability to access it right off the bat. I wouldn't recommend using the dodge unblockable mechanic except for fainting, unless you're against a newer player. Otherwise, you will most likely get parried. But that brings us up to the next thing. I can't really... Maybe I can show it to you here. If we put it into the AI mode. The AI, when attacking, will lose stamina, more so for lights now than previously. However, if you parry them, they will not lose any stamina. Well, although I'll go a little bit more in depth on the core combat update, I think it's really important to mention this right off the bat, because that will be changing a lot of things for other players in the long term. And honestly, I mean, Yorm, we might as well touch on this topic. Yorm, basically worthless now. They are absolutely worthless. The Ubisoft nerfed their stamina punishes a little bit too hard, and now with this no parry reducing of the stamina, their ability to drain people's stamina is basically non-existent. Let's get into the last unique piece of Warmonger's kit, which is, if Warden will be so kind as to throw out an attack that I can... There we go. So, in the case of Warmonger, we have another Impale attack, similar to Lawbringer. However, the difference is that Lawbringer gives you a direct wall splat and does minimal damage. However, with Warmonger, should you hit a wall, you will not get any guaranteed damage afterwards. So, like, I can't go into a top attack. They will immediately, or a light attack even, from any stance or angle, it will not be guaranteed. However, if they do wall splat them, it will give them automatically 20 damage for bleed. So, I mean, I can see that being great in ganks. I don't really see there being much reason to use it outside of ganks. Maybe if you have like a shaman or something, it'd be really beneficial. But the bleed is not really a... It's okay, but it's I really think you should just go for like lights or something. It's not really worth triggering that parry system. It looks cool, don't get me wrong, and it's a great way to stun opponents. They are locked in here. I don't know if you can be hit out of it as of yet. I have not encountered anyone in a circumstance like that. But, I mean, it looks amazing, and the way they're using it is as a Zweihander is supposed to be used. Getting onto that here, let's real quick stop the bot from beating the ever-living crap out of us. The hero's weapon is a Zweihander. A two-hander, otherwise known in English, but the Zweihander is a German, typically a great sword, although it can be made in shorter variants. But normally the Zweihander is defined by its additional guard, which This sword... out of the way, wolf. As close the wolf is. You can't really see a secondary guard on this, although there is a teeny tiny little branch in our blade here. It is pretty much not a thing on this blade. Officially, Ubisoft characterizes this weapon as a Flamberg, but this weapon doesn't really have any significant wavy features. I mean, there's like a little bit of wave at the end, but this blade barely counts as a Flamberg. Flame blade. We might as well jump straight into the next character in the list right after. Don't think I forgot about the executions. I mean, obviously here, we can do a little bit of emote spam, but I don't really have any of the apt emotes on right now, so... We don't really have anything impressive here, which is why I'm a bit hesitant to show you those. Alright, so first one, I just call it the shish kebab. I think I'm not gonna call any of these executions by their actual name. I mean, you'll know once the character is released in 2 weeks. I mean, I don't even know what to call that one other than the Impaler. Like, very much so, just the Impaler seems to be the only thing I could really call that. Now, I forget which execution... There we go. Okay, so this is my Y. This is the Wolves Among Sheep execution. It is actually the new limited time event execution. RIP. Which has... Currently, it has a random chance of activating... you either have the wolf, or you have the sheep outcome. Polyon is... Oops, wrong one. Polyon essentially narrates your little execution there and decides whether or not the hero lives or dies. He lives if he is deemed a wolf, and he dies if he is deemed a sheep. Alright, now to some of you who are somewhat well informed, but still not quite familiar with everything, this may come as a shock to you, or perhaps even a surprise. Did you notice anything different there? Anything at all? If you haven't, then you are clearly not a Lawbringer main. I'll just do this a couple times, you know, just kinda... You know, just to clear things up. If you still don't know, I guess I'll have to spell it out for you. Shub, big old S-H-O-B, has been nerfed. It no longer has hyper armor. At all. None. Zero zilch. And it was not sped up or slowed down. It was left as is. It is simply the shove. Non-hyper armored now. I mean, to an extent, it doesn't really change much. Like if you're side dodging like a top heavy or something, that's not gonna change. But I don't know. They might have tweaked the tracking on certain attacks now. Maybe grant this a certain level of dodge frames. But as of presently, the hyper armor shove is no more. And honestly, it doesn't really make sense. Because Lawbringer, despite having all this armor, doesn't really have any hyper armor attacks. I think the only hyper armor attack here, let me just kind of get our boy Warden to do something. Come on. Do it again. Yeah, nothing on polearm. What about on Swift Justice? Nothing on Swift Justice. Wait, was there any hyper armor on the zone? That might not even have hyper armor on the zone. Oh no, it does have a little bit of hyper armor at the beginning. Okay, so Lawbringer's only hyper armor is on his zone, and that's not just his. That's not his regular zone. That's his parry zone. So Lawbringer has no hyper armor, especially considering I don't think he ever actually had any hyper armor on his heavies. So he doesn't have shove on block as well. That hasn't been added back in. So Lawbringer has really just been nerfed here. There's no benefits to him. I figured we'd just get that out of the way. Yeah, Lawbringer's dead now. And he won't be coming back, unlike I just did. Now, a lot of people know about Highlander, but for those who don't, you get to experience the sheer unnaturalness of Highlander's update with your own eyes. One of the shortest characters in the game now has 500 millisecond light attacks. He is swinging a sword that is easily around 8 to 10 pounds, considering its thickness and, like, just sheer length. And he is able to do all sorts of things here. This is a terrifying monster. Like, offense stance used to be the meta, but I think this is gonna change the meta. Like, this is terrifying. Also, interestingly, I do believe that Highlander's, yeah, it seems that because the lights come out faster now, you can actually flow into offensive stance much quicker, or that may be a result of core combat chain speed-ups. Really like the background screen. That changes to blood red. Okay, so some people may be wondering what happened to Orochi. Let's go over the core combat update now on the last character that really received any major changes. We might as well just talk about this before we get into things. So the core combat update essentially was created and has been tested for, I think, closer to like a year and a half now. It was basically meant to reshape the game in a way that is favorable more so to new players. A lot of people are getting angry about that. They're like, oh, but then like it takes away from, you know, certain skill sets. And I'm like, light spam is not a skill set, it is a bad habit. But I mean, either way, there are some pretty good people out there who are just simply annoyed because there are lots of things that have actually been taken away from a lot of characters' abilities and movesets now. So let's just start out with, I already went over the fact that when you get parried, doesn't matter if it's a light, doesn't matter if it's heavy, you no longer lose stamina. This is excellent because now people don't have to worry about losing their whole stamina bar just when they go to do one or two single attack chains. So that will definitely, there's no doubt about it, nobody can give any crap to that, except for Yorm mains, because, you know, but Yorm's trash anyway, so. But I do actually feel bad about Yorm, because he /she did not deserve what they got. Their stamina punishing abilities have been nerfed into the ground. The only thing they have to really get people out of stamina now is their hammer. And their fourth can knock people down, I suppose, but they don't really have any 1v1 pressure anymore. As long as people manage their stamina correctly, which isn't, it's really easy to do now, because the other thing that has been given to us is light attacks and heavy attacks now do less and or more damage depending on what we're talking about. So, for instance, here, let's show Orochi's, for example. Top attacks, top heavy, what did that do? 26 damage. 26 damage. In the past, it used to do 40 damage, as I'm sure many people who have been beaten to death out of stamina already know. Here, let's turn off the opponent's stamina real quick. Or wait, no, put it on exhausted. What am I doing? So, let's say we do this. You didn't see anything right there. I'll get to that later. But basically, that was the main punish. And it used to be 40-40, fat 80 damage. So that was most of people's health bars gone. But now, the attacks have been tweaked, so people are taking less damage overall, typically, with the exception of a few attacks that are meant to be high damage simply because they are harder to pull off. So everything has been kind of scaled and tampered with to meet the changes with the system. So because people can pull off attacks more frequently now, it was only inevitable that the attacks would get scaled down to just make sure the fights didn't last for, you know, a ridiculous amount of time or end super shortly. So, yeah. Well, although Orochi does still have, you know, lots of damage, and yes, Orochi does have a top-heavy unblockable. It's not on any of the sides, but Orochi does finally have a top-heavy unblockable, and some people may be like, oh, well, that doesn't change the fact that, guess what? Orochi's lights have been nerfed. They are no longer 400 milliseconds, they are still 500 milliseconds. To noobs, as far as that's concerned, that is still nearly unreactable for you guys. Maybe you can block it, but it was nearly unblockable on at least consoles. Even PC players agree that, at least for consoles, nerfing lights for Orochi was necessary. 30 FPS is atrocious to try and parry some of these attacks, and it would be cruel not to. But the top-heavy finisher, well, any finisher in general, does a significant amount more of damage than previously looked at least in contrast to basically the scaling has been increased. So where some attacks that were actually affected by chain damage increases or decreases had maybe like a 1.2 multiplier, for characters like Orochi, that 26 damage immediately turned into 38 damage. So you have a pretty high, I won't say 150% increase, I think it's maybe slightly less. But there is a significant change in the damage values there. So while although the fight, it will take longer to kill people, it will be worthwhile because people can just, you know, do attacks more frequently. This warden is out of stamina because I put him in, but the odds of someone who knows how to manage their stamina actually running out of stamina is highly unlikely. Unless they're all on the offensive and are just trying to make sure their attacker has no time to rest, you shouldn't be losing out on stamina. Now, as you notice, again, you can run out of stamina pretty quickly with this character. Well, any character in general. I was specifically referencing Orochi because, let's be honest, Orochi is like one of the king of light spams. The others being like Conqueror and Aramusha. Although Aramusha's lights, he always has to branch into the top light in order to continue his infinite chain. So some people caught onto that and were able to, you know, kind of learn from that and pretty much halt all of Aramusha's offense. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's 6 attacks. 1, 2, 3. That would have probably put us out of stamina. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay. So maybe 11 attacks, and then Orochi was out of stamina. So if we heal our fellow warden, I suppose, up to what? Full health? Or should we let it regenerate it? No, let's just keep it on regular. That way we have a reference. Let's see if we can actually get Warden dead before our stamina meter runs out. Nope. Well, although he has barely any health, Warden did not in fact die from light spam. Pure light spam was not able to kill the Warden. Now, of course, if you had just turtled and waited for your stamina to come back, obviously, you would have been able to just, you know, pop. He's dead. But there have been cases where people have been on like 1 health and then completely floored another person all the way to 0 health from a full bar. Looking at you, Nova King. But, I mean, the combat system, I don't know how I feel. Personal thoughts and reflections, I don't know how I feel about the core combat update system. I do like the stamina changes. I feel like a lot of people are going to support me there. The fact that you're not constantly running out of stamina after being parried is a good change. The damage rescaling, I don't know. I feel like maybe that was, the numbers are a bit too diminished. I feel like fights are going to last perhaps slightly too long now. I mean, don't get me wrong. People are still taking lots of damage. But, I don't know. I mean, how often are you gonna land a bunch of heavy, you know, attacks with the Orochi? Like, maybe after a guard break or something, you know, feint to guard break. But, still, that only does 26 damage. And, yeah, no, the chain doesn't carry on into guard breaks, so it would take a few times just to kill one enemy. But yeah, that just about does it for the core combat area of things. I suppose there's one thing left to mention, for at least Orochi specifically, is that you can actually dodge out of recovering. So if you feint an attack, you can immediately dodge. And I do believe if you miss an attack... Okay, yeah. So as long as you're landing that second attack, you could immediately from the finisher, you can dodge out of the way. As long as you get that top heavy finisher off, you're all good. I don't know about the side ones. Okay, yeah, no, it's on all finishers. Interestingly, I think zones have actually been the stamina consumption on zones. I think you were able to get maybe 3 zones out in the past, but now you're definitely not getting more than 2 zones out at once. You'll have to wait. You're going to go completely out of stamina. Don't even try spamming zone with Orochi anymore. Unless you're sure you're going to hit him, or it's a really down-to-the-wire moment, or maybe you need to cancel out 50-50 read. I wouldn't recommend using your zone, because you might end up doing a one thing that will make it hard to get back into the fight, and it's putting yourself out of stamina. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I always appreciate feedback and or game recommendations, or maybe just general news. If you have something to say, put it down in the comment section. Once again, give me the likes, give me the comments, subscribe if you feel like it. I mean, I'm not forcing you to, but you know, I might post something that actually catches your eye, and it would be really unfortunate if you were to miss that post. I mean, I think you'd be just as sad as I would if you missed viewing my videos. And yeah, you can click the notification bell if you want to, but I'm not gonna talk about that. Psh, nobody clicks the notification bell except for maybe a few people, but we don't talk about those people. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Let's just leave it at that. Cheeky Spartan, now departing.